this is just literally a test, and I didn't indicate that with anything other than dots. All right, guys, thanks so much. This is actually a test, and I only put the dots in. So if you're hanging around, you're welcome to hang around. I'm just actually watching the lag on a couple of other platforms here. So I appreciate you for coming in, and I'll probably run a few infomercials. But thank you so much, and I'll be right back. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, there's something for everyone. So please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back right after this. Hey guys, it's Black Spring with Autumn here. And if you'd like to help us out with our AI and dissemination of the stream campaign, please hit that like, unlike, dare to throw caution to the wind by sharing, or just making sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. And I want to thank you for your ultimate and baseline level support here on Black Spring with Autumn. And we'll be right back right after this. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, there's something for everyone. So please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back, right after this. Alright guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am in the background and I am just kind of testing out some things here. I do want to thank you guys so much for tuning in on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn, and especially for those of you that were here last night. That was an interesting test, to say the least. The only thing I guess I could share with you, it looks like maybe a case finally made it to the courts. I guess I can share that one with you guys really quickly. Hope you guys are doing well out there. And hello to Tyrant Spain, TDOA, as well as Anarchy Television. So I've got two anarchists in my midst. Thank you guys so much for all that you do. And thanks for hanging around yesterday. But this is just a test, so I may or may not get into that. Let's see. Yeah, this one comes from our friends over at the TNA, and it's the Supreme Court finally agrees to review lower court ruling against the Second Amendment. So I'll share that one with you, and then I will get out of here. I'm trying to do as much as I can because I'm probably gonna have a major slowdown like soon. So let me just plug this one in for you guys. Hope you guys are doing well out there, and let's get to that. But first, yes, let's have a word for our friends here. This segment of our show is brought to you by our good friends at the John Birch Society. Less government, more responsibility, and with God's help, a better world. The JBS is a constitutional and educational organization that's been around for over 60 years, dedicated to upholding and defending the Constitution and working to preserve our freedoms and liberties in this country. The JBS does not endorse any political party or candidates. Rather, it focuses on the education, training, and development of the American voters. All right, so I'm going to share that article, just one article. So just hang on 1 second here. And this is from our friends at the JBS, the TNA. Make sure I give you guys some full screen on this one so you can get the full effect here. All right. So what you see before you is the Supreme Court finally agrees to review lower court ruling against the Second Amendment. And this is penned by Bob Adelman. According to this, the National Rifle Association was delighted to hear that the U.S. Supreme Court, after more than a decade of silence on continuing infringements by various states on citizens' abilities to exercise their Second Amendment protected right to keep and bear arms, agreed to hear New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Corlett, New York State's Superintendent of Police, and other cases on Monday. All right, and it looks like we have an excerpt. The pro-gun group Exuded. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court decided to hear an NRA-backed case challenging New York's restrictive concealed carry licensing regime. This sets the stage for the Supreme Court to affirm what most states already hold as true, that there is an individual right to self-defense outside of the home. The NRA ILA's executive director, Jason is it Weemet? Says, Weemet? Or we may expanded, the court rarely takes Second Amendment cases. Now it's decided to hear one of the most critical Second Amendment issues. We're confident that the court will tell New York and other states that our Second Amendment right to defend ourselves is fundamental and doesn't vanish when we leave our homes. That may be true under the Second Amendment, but it isn't what the court has agreed to consider in granting, quote, certiorari, this is Latin perhaps, a writ seeking review of lower court's ruling. The High Court is limiting its focus to, quote, the petition for writ or for right of certiorari. I'm doing very bad on these words these days. Is granted, limited to the following question: whether New York State's denial of petitioners' applications for concealed carry licenses for self-defense violated the Second Amendment. That is a far cry from what the NRA and millions of CCW concealed weapon permit holders and Second Amendment supporters were hoping from the court. A declaration that our Second Amendment protected right means exactly what it is, that, quote, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, end quote. The court is likely to do no such thing as declare that those states permitting, quote, constitutional carry, end quote, are well within their rights to do so under the Second Amendment. Instead, with luck, it will declare New York's egregious requirement that a citizen must, quote, demonstrate a special need for self-protection distinguishable from that of the general community, end quote, before being granted official permission to keep and bear a firearm violates the Second Amendment. If such a ruling actually happens, one won't know until a year from now. The First, Second, Third, and Fourth Circuit Courts of Appeal, which have consistently upheld such infringements as allowable under the Constitution, might still hold that the 14 states under their purview may continue to infringe. After all, they have ignored Supreme Court rulings in cases such as Heller, the gun ownership is an individual and not a collective right, and McDonald, the ruling applies to all states for the past 10 years, with Nari a peep from the court. Paul Clement, a former Solicitor General under President George W. Bush, will be presenting the plaintiff's case to the court, just as he successfully did back in 2010 in McDonald versus Chicago. Clement was among President Donald Trump's select list of candidates for appointment to the Supreme Court. New York citizens Robert Nash and Brandon Koch each applied for a license to carry a firearm for self-defense purposes. Each showed why they needed to be granted a special dispensation. Nash cited a number of recent robberies in his neighborhood and that he successfully completed an advanced firearm safety course. Koch offered the same reason for an exemption, having also successfully completed various gun safety courses. The licensing officer denied both applications, ruling that neither had shown sufficient, quote, proper cause to allow them to be granted permission. Nash and Koch filed a suit in federal court claiming that the officials' denial violated their Second Amendment rights. The district court dismissed their claim. They appealed to the Second Circuit Court, which affirmed the lower court's ruling. They filed the right to the Supreme Court, which granted after 2 years being caught in the judicial bureaucratic blender on Monday. The plaintiffs requested to the court to rule on the question of the free carry of firearms outside the home. From their petition, quote, the question presented is whether the Second Amendment allows the government to prohibit ordinary law-abiding citizens from carrying handguns outside their home for self-defense. Nash and Koch made their position abundantly clear because the Second Amendment protects a fundamental individual right to bear arms outside the home for defense, self-defense. Regimes like New York's, quote, proper cause, end quote, regime, which only serve to curtail such rights, are categorically unconstitutional. Such laws flatly deny to ordinary law-abiding citizens like petitioners Nash and Koch the rights that the Second Amendment protects. By requiring a permit applicant to submit evidence differentiating him or herself from the body of, quote, the people, end quote, guaranteed rights under the Second Amendment, the New York regime is not merely an infringement. The regime is antithetical to the constitutional freedom itself. Just as with DC's handgun ban, in Heller, the regimes fail under any mode of constitutional scrutiny because no government authority may ration to somewhat the Constitution guarantees to all. This court must intervene and right this wrong. The High Court deliberately ignored that question and instead declared it would limit its consideration to whether New York's licensing law is constitutional or not. Even if the court finds for the plaintiff by limiting its attention to whether New York's licensing law is constitutional or not, it leaves the Second Amendment where it has been for years, in a second tier among primary enumerated rights in the Bill of Rights. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas called out his peers over their lame or non-existent defense of the Second Amendment. He wrote that the court has engaged in, quote, a general failure to afford the Second Amendment the respect due an enumerated constitutional right. If a lower court treated another right so cavalierly, I have little doubt that this court would intervene. The Second Amendment is a disfavored right in this court, end quote. Even a favorable ruling in this case in June 2022 would fail to elevate the Second Amendment to its rightful place as first among its peers. All right, guys. There you go. Got a few people around. Thank you guys so much. And this is actually, believe it or not, it is a test. I'm technically not supposed to be here. But no less, I appreciate you guys so much for coming in. So, that fight continues, and it continues. You have these little enclaves of those Second Amendment battles all over the country, and you've got, you've got these sanctuaries that have appeared. But I don't know. It's just it's quite scary what's happening right now, and I think all bets are off. And I think maybe Thomas might be one of the last. I don't know. Maybe he's one of the last that may uphold, anything that comes through that's constitutional. I think, especially in this case, who knows? But I don't know. I'm not even sure. I just think so many people and so many institutions are compromised right now. I have no idea. But of course, I thank you guys so much for coming in for this test. It's Kimmy Forever 88. How are you? Thank you so much for coming in. And also, hello once again to Anarchy Television and Tyrants being TDOA. All right, guys, I'm going to run a few more. I'm just running these for lag purposes. And I think tomorrow I'll try to put out an announcement about the appearance that I'm going to do on Thursday on the Central Standard Time, I believe it is. I think that's the time zone that I'm working with there. So I think that's what I'm doing. So I will be right back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if you could do us a favor by hitting the like button or the unlike button, dare to share, or just make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. That's always very helpful around here. And also, this is just another reminder, we are available on Twitter. Hi, Carrie Gage. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are available on Twitter. So that is Black Spring with Autumn at Real Black Spring. That's, at Real Black Spring. So I will be right back. Just a few infomercials and then we'll get out of here. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, there's something for everyone. So please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back right after this.